quiet, please. Oh my God, shh. Film's about to start.
Hello world, welcome to Drew's Reviews, and today's film we'll be discussing Together, directed by Michael Shanks. When a couple tries to escape their problems by starting fresh in a quiet rural town, they discover something ancient and hidden that draws them closer than ever. The trailers for this movie really caught my eye. I liked the concept, I liked the body horror aspect of the movie. I thought that seemed interesting, but what really caught my interest was the underlying turmoil that seemed to be between the two main characters. I love when horror movies have really great dialogue and tension between characters and something more to say than just being scary or having a lot of gore or graphics. I like when horror movies step outside of just being typical horror movies, and that's what it seemed from the trailers that they were showing. So it definitely upped my excitement. So of course I got my tickets, went in for a good time. It seemed to rely on the body horror aspect of it, and it leaned on that a lot.
Okay.
But the story around all of that was very generic and simple. I thought we might get some complex tension between the two main characters, and the tension was there, but it was almost in small doses, and I felt we never really got to know these characters.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
It was a typical horror relationship from what I was seeing. If you don't already know, I'm big on horror. I watched a lot of horror movies, love the genre, and there's nothing wrong with making your horror movie by the book, but it just seems so by the book to the point where I knew exactly where this movie was headed.
That's some neat trick. That sense of yours.
I mean, as soon as they introduced a specific character, I instantly knew, okay, this is how the plot is going to go. This is what's going to happen next. And I'll be surprised if this doesn't happen. And I wasn't surprised, and it happened exactly like I thought it was going to happen. Again, I've seen a lot of horror movies, and most of them are like this. And not saying that this movie isn't different in its own way or doesn't have its own identity, but the only identity that this movie has is the body horror aspect of it. It is original in that way of how the bodies merge together. The VFX on this was really well done, except one part at the end where they do the big shot, and that part looked a little bad AI rendering.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
But everything else through the beginning, the middle, all the shots where they're merging together, the VFX on that looked very real at some points. It was pretty freaky. Now for the acting, I thought Alison Brie was great, and I thought Dave Franco was great. I thought their chemistry was really good, and the acting across the board with everyone in the film was pretty solid. But again, I just wanted more from them, and I don't believe that that's necessarily their fault. This is Michael Shanks' directorial debut, and that's really evident in this film. It felt like they had a good concept and they focused on that concept, but the story around that concept didn't have any finesse. I wish they gave Dave and Allison a really good meaty script and maybe a little bit more passion. Their characters didn't feel developed enough, and I wanted to care more about them and their relationship, but I just found myself feeling distant from it. But for a first-time director, they did a solid job overall. There were really cool shots in this film. I thought the lore behind everything was really cool and made a lot of sense. The runtime was perfect. This movie didn't need to be any longer or any shorter than what it was, and even though the character development in this movie was not as good good as I wanted it to be. I did get little doses throughout the movie, but that's just due to how well Allison Brie and Dave Franco are together on screen. They had really great chemistry. Also, there were moments of humor. It's not a horror comedy in any way, but there were just moments and it actually had me laughing pretty good. All in all, this movie was pretty solid. I'd definitely check it out again. It just felt like we were going from scene to scene and showing off all the horror parts, which is why we're there, but at the same time, I just wish it had a little bit more finesse. So with that being said, I'm going to be giving Together a 7 out of 10.
Not
My
bad.
expectations for this film wasn't out of the roof or anything, but I was hoping for a little bit more in the dynamic between Allison Brie and Dave Franco's characters, because that's who we're spending the most time with. But I didn't end up getting that experience, and that's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world.
I saw that going differently in my mind.
I will be keeping an eye on the next film that Michael Shanks does. For a first-time director, this movie was pretty solid. And as time goes on, I think he can get better at the craft, especially on the character side of things. On the horror aspect of it, I think he did incredible. Thank you for tuning in to my review of Together. Please like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what's your favorite body horror film. I would love to hear your thoughts. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.